right, guys, so the last one up here. This is the one you all picked. So this is the Aussie to the New Zealand. Now I'm again to try and get some longer term context here. I'm on a 3-day here, so we don't have that much data here, but it won't affect what I'm going to show you here and where I think there's a trade. This, what do we got there? Fuck, who knows? All right, so if I can't, that's so crazy. I don't even bother. So I'm just going to use this here, and just starting from here. Now it starts to take some shape. All right, so I've got a clear impulse coming down. All right, there's no disputing what we have there. Now, so where would that put us? Well, since we don't really have the longer degree context, so I'm just working off of the idea that I've got an impulse down and then some sort of correction has happened here. Now it's a little, I can see why you guys wanted some help here. This is tricky in here and open to some interpretation, probably could be counted multiple ways. Here's what I see. It appears to me that off of this low that we've got our 3-way, but it's, again, notice I'm out on a 3-day. It looks like we can get an A, then I've got a nice ABC here, and then I've got a diagonal to finish up the C here. So I get a slight truncation in the C. Now, granted, this is, if that's our dominant pivot high to low, this is a shallow correction. So we get the 38 to the tick. So you might look at that and say, oh, well, maybe because this all looks so choppy and sideways, well, maybe the 3 is here, and there's a 5 that's down lower. Well, I suppose you can make that case, but the subdivision here is all quite good getting us down here. So I don't think you want to add complexity unless the market dictates that you do, because you get something other than what I'm about to show you here as a proposed trade. So yeah, granted, that's shallow for a corrective wave, right? It's not that it doesn't happen, right? We see them all the time. It's just not the high probability zone, right? You'd be looking for it closer to the 50. But nonetheless, there it is, 38 to the tick. So let me get that off. So coming down here, I'm going to go down. Let's see. Maybe we can stay here on the 3. So so this ABC looks fairly solid. You can very clearly there's a nice 5 wave here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me get these down out of the way. All right, so this ABC looks pretty solid. All right, so off the rip off of the low is the first A. Then I get an ABC into my B, and then I get this diagonal here that I'm proposing finishes the C here. So it's right, that's unusual, but note what happens here. This is what I think is creating the trade opportunity. This is not uncommon. In fact, it's very common here. I'm still on it. Note I'm on a 3-day chart, as in every bar is 3 days. Right? This is a lot of time here. Now this trend line here is part of what's creating the diagonal. Right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The extension's in the 5th. 3 is longer than 1. So we have a valid diagonal to give us that C. Well, coming off of that 1, well, then I got it's hard to miss it. Right? Nice clear ABC. It's one of the advantages of going out to these longer time frames. The wave structure really clarifies, so I can get 1, potentially 1 down, ABC into a 2. Well, what have I got here? All right, well, that was, right, so this sort of fucks up the charts. So your tendency is to think, oh, well, shit, do I even need to use that? Well, I guarantee you an algorithm did, because you can look here. So from the low here, right? So if there's a short here, what did they run into? Well, you see that? Now, again, I'm on a 3-day chart, right into the golden zone. Right? That just even if you took that is a, what do we at? From 0280 to, what did we get up here? Was our pivot to 0620? Guys, that is a very, very successful trade. Right? So it's nothing complicated, right? Swing high, swing low, golden zone. Buy it. Now, where's the count? Well, that's what I think is creating an opportunity here. So while we do have the issue of this algorithm after that target, well, of course, remember, there's always an algorithm on the other side. So if this is 1, 2, 3 of a diagonal, right? So we have a diagonal here, and it would appear that we're going into yet another diagonal. Well, where are we, right? Remember, in a diagonal, we're looking for something technical between the start of the 1, the pivot of the 3. Well, so here, I'll leave this on here. Hang on a second. Let me get it back. There we go. Okay, so golden zone, got a target. Okay, where are we looking? So from the start of a diagonal, from the start of the 1 through the pivot of the 3. All right, where are we right now? Well, so far, the first, so we get right on there. Okay, so let's do it this way. First thing we do, we rip straight into the 50. That's exactly where you're looking for it, right? So we hit the resistance there, right? No question what happens there. We don't have to wonder, right? You've got some structure here. There's only an algorithm can be that precise here. So boom, down they go. Next algorithm, right? So it's always a fib fight. So this algorithm has a target down here. Okay, so this guy, he's after that. Right? It's just a guy, right? This software code that was written here is going to stay short until it hits that target, right? It's going to defend here. If it gets up there, we got to defend here. Target doesn't move, right? But right now, that's what I have. I have a perfect tag of a 50. I have a target, but I know why it doesn't get there because it runs into this algo, which has the target right here. Now, note where that target is. It is on top of the 618. So we have a true fib fight here. So right now, it's between the 50 and the golden zone. If this is going to keep going here, which it looks like it may, it has the potential to do it because you've got an algo driving it. You've got a target up here that would be right at the golden zone. Well, do we get there? Well, you got some conflicting data here. So where's the 4, right? So could be here, could be. So I'm going to leave it here just for the time being. So is there anything else there? So we could look for some additional confluence from the swing low to that pivot at the 50 to this low. What else is there? Well, here's the 100, right? Not uncommon for an ABC, but that would have us getting beyond. Right? Well, no, it's right at the point of control. Kind of interesting. So there's the golden zone here. So we have a true fib fight. We just got algos battling it out here on this longer time frame. Well, how can this help us? Where's the count? Well, one thing to keep in mind here is that with this trend line here, get it right on there. We're kind of, testing the underside of here. We got through it here. Looks like that's because somebody wanted to fill here, right? Algorithm wanted to fill here at this. Right now, if they can get up here, ideally, right? So for a diagonal, you wouldn't want the 4, right? So if you could script it, you wouldn't want the 4 going that deep, right? You'd want the 1, 2, 3. Maybe it's here. You do something like this. You'd rather have it stay before going down because that's unusually deep to put. Oh, shit, God, fucking trading view. So it's unusually deep for a diagonal to go that far. Now look here. These have been also very deep. Look how deep that 4 is relative to this 2. So it could just be the volatility of this pair. So I wouldn't eliminate this as a candidate for the sell. But note here, right? So we got to pay attention to where we are. Since I've got this, we know an algo hit right here. So are we coming back up to it? Now, the second time it tests, more vulnerable to a break. But you do have, note here, wait, so let's see, we've got it multiple times coming across here, right? And we've got a bunch of market acceptance here. Now we're sitting here in the lower volume node. Now, granted, this is a 3-day chart. Let's see, if I go to a daily, maybe that makes it a little better. Let me see if I can clear this up a little bit. So, right, so this has been the resistance. Now, if we're going to get through this, we know where we're going, right? We know that the algorithm will continue to go here. Now this algorithm will have a target. This algorithm that started selling here will be defending here. So you have a highly probable reaction point if we get there. Right? So, of course, note here, as I was just showing you, the target does not move. Right? If we go here, well, so you look at that and you go, okay, well, how does that relate? So do we have any, the rule of alternation happening here? Well, this was a fairly solid ABC. If I move this over here, get these lined up, well, nothing out of the ordinary here. So if this is going to do the same and go into an ABC here, well, that's a nice setup here. So what I would suggest here, so one, because of the spread, because of the size of this from the 50 to the 618, that's pretty steep. So if you were going to take a partial here, I'd be doing this with a smaller size. So, all relative to your account size, your risk tolerance. There's a reasonable trade here to start here at the 50. with a smaller piece of it, knowing that you could be looking to add up here because you're now in between two algos, right? One that sold here, one that bought here. Now this one, who's got the advantage? Well, there's no way to know, really. I mean, maybe you're looking at your oscillators here. Well, the RSI is looking kind of hot. So you have, are we coming back up here? So no, we don't get traditional divergence here. We have hidden divergence. So we have the potential for price going higher, but we don't have oscillator divergence here because at this pivot here we didn't make the 70% here. Right? You can see what happened last time we got up here. Last time we got up here. Right? These are all, that's why people like RSI. So we come down here as we hit the golden zone here. RSI, we get a little baby bit of divergence here coming up here. Now we're oversold here. But we don't necessarily, well, as of this point, we don't have higher prices here. So we have the potential for non-traditional divergence here. So we'd have hidden divergence, higher prices here. So if we're going to hold here and start to roll over, that's why I think there's the potential for this trade to kick here, right? Partly because of this, right? We start to roll over. So you're kind of stuck. You either go, all right, well, because it's retesting, I don't like it as much. I'm going to wait and see if it gets to the golden zone in that target. It's not unreasonable. But I think you have a real possibility here that you're going to miss the trade if we start to pivot. So one thought is you can put a little order there. You might not take the full heat of if it's going to go all the way to the 618 or to the golden zone. Maybe you don't want to take all of that drawdown. So you could tee this up and put on a smaller size. So entry there. Let's keep it. Of course, we want to keep it no less than 3 to 1. So this will give you plenty of room. So there's your target down there. There's 7 to 1, giving it plenty of room. But you're kind of randomly, what are you picking here? If you're going to use the 65, well, that's pretty meaty. Again, it's all relative to your account size. There's 4 to 1, but you're going to have to take some heat here. If you start here, that's why I would suggest that if you start here at the 50 to avoid getting left behind, right? So if it's going to turn. So maybe a smaller percentage here, maybe 30% of what you would allocate to the trade, looking to add if we're going to go up because of the confluence there, because of that algo target on top of the 618. So I might do 30% here, 70% here. Now you go, oh shit, man, I want to get the whole piece of it here because if this pivots here and starts to come down, where there will be the retrace, which would allow you the opportunity to get in with a little more size if it's going to pivot at the 50, and we're going to double top here. Right? No way to know, remains to be seen. Well, what else can we use? Well, we've got a perfect setup for a golden corner pocket, right? Right, so here, let me zoom in here, make sure I've got these right on it. Let's get this out of here. We kind of made that point. Let me get this out of here. Okay, so let me get right on that. That's a little off. It's really worth taking the time to get these right on those pivots. Okay, so textbook golden corner. All right, where are we going? Would that make sense? Could we get there? Well, it looks like maybe not, right? So because we're here, even if we go straight up, so it looks to me like the potential here has been missed. Now you could go to a modifier, of course. So we could move here. First thing I'd check is the shift and say, okay, well maybe I'm going to catch. I'm at the median line here on the shift modification. So maybe that's something like this would put me right in that lower parallel here, or pardon me, the upper parallel. I kind of take a peek at the modified shift because it's just a channel, right? We know that, right? So it's just a channel. So here we sit at the median line. So that's why I'm kind of proposing to you here, if we're going to hover, as you hit the median line, it'll hover around it as it makes a decision as to which way it's going to go. I mean, you can make a case that as we sit here at the median line, you might be looking to get short in the very near term, right? You do not have to give it all of that room, right? But you got to pick something. So either you're going to do it based on your risk tolerance. Maybe you're going to use something here where you note here we have lots of market acceptance. Lots of market acceptance right here. So drag that over. Right, we got a little low volume node, so maybe you get just on the other side of that. And you got 7 to 1. It's just you gotta pick something here. So if this is an area where the bigger players are looking for, well, I've got visible range here. If the bigger players are looking for a place to get short, that's where they're gonna hide what they're doing here, right? So and then here, of course, here's point of control. So, but if this is going to go up to point of control here, again, this is visible range. If we're going to get up to point of control here and get up to some of these targets here, well, then the trade is likely invalidated. That would be unusually deep for a 4, although we did have it over here, right? So it's not like it doesn't happen. I just wouldn't like the trade nearly as much. I would assume that something else is going on here. Right, so if we're going to go that high. So it still could be 1 ABC, pardon me, 3 ABC. This could be, you could end up with a larger 1, 2 if it's going to go that high. Hard to say. But right now, so here's the first opportunity right here as we're coming back towards this 50, if not right here, as we hit the modified shift median line. Or, just so you're clear on this, when I say that's the same thing as a channel, it's the exact same thing. So the center line of a channel becomes your median line, right? You see here? It's the same thing as a channel. So we're sitting right at the median line. And just to remind you, right? So we've got potential other pivots here in play. So if this is the last pivot before it goes down, if I get right on there, what did we just do? We hit the 233, the Vegas wave, and on this smaller degree here, and I'm pulling here, we've just hit the golden zone of that swing. So you can't, right? There's no way to know, right? So that is perfectly valid here to be looking to be on the short side. You got to use something for the stop, right? You got multiple targets down here. So you could use the first one, and that would give you 6 to 1. The larger one down here, going to give you almost 7 to 1. So one to watch. I wouldn't go heavy because it's unclear what they're using. We can't be sure. So, but a partial here makes sense, looking to potentially add an average your fill, so you'll end up with a split fill, so you'll get something to be approximately half that distance, reduces the exposure if the stop's on the other side of the 65. But this is absolutely one to be watching. Right? That's one I like. Right? So keep an eye on that one if you're not already in it. Right? But sure as hell have a stop on it. All right, guys, that's all for now.